Welcome back, Truth Seeker. I want to talk about the phrase voting for the lesser of two evils, because, of course, this phrase has been around for pretty much all of our lives. And almost every election cycle, it's the same tired, divisive topics. Again, when I was in high school, I was in high school at the end of the 90s, graduated in 2001. Annually, we would have a thing where we all went to the auditorium, and if you wanted to participate, there were mics on each side. You get on the Republican side or the Democratic side, and almost the entire discussion was over abortion and the border. And this is in the 90s and early 2000s. And of course, the border became a major issue after NAFTA, which passed in the time of Clinton. And you go back and look at what Byron Dorgan said. Byron Dorgan was one of the people who had it dead on. He said, if we pass NAFTA, it's going to drive Mexican farmers out of work, and they're going to be moving to the United States because that's going to be where the only employment opportunity is. And these world trade deals have just magnified what NAFTA did. NAFTA, for example, set the corn price so low that only mega corporations could make money off it with economies of scale. And the average Mexican farmer was going to go totally broke and starve to death. So they had no option but to look for work. And the work wasn't in Mexico, it was in the United States. So again, there's people at the top who know the consequences of the policies, and you have the Byron Dorgans of the world who are always the lone voices speaking out and dropping the truth. And again, so here we are in 2024. It's still abortion, it's still the border, and it's still voting for the lesser of two evils. And people need to really understand what's behind those words, lesser of two evils. We're going to talk about just how evil Kamala and Joe Biden are. The reason I have this up on the screen, this Nick Shirley channel, I became aware of this young guy. He was on Jesse Waters of Fox News. And don't get any ideas that I'm a Fox News watcher. I mostly watch it just to laugh at it, especially Jesse Waters, who has, I mean, he's a total clown of an individual. How's he doing the primetime news? But anyway, Jesse Waters brought this young guy on, and I just thought, how in the world? He was talking about how he's the first YouTuber to go to this maximum security prison in Venezuela. And for that video, he got over 4 million views on the video that Fox promoted for him. And so he made over 20 G's off that video. But then I started to look more into it. I was like, how does a young guy get let into a maximum security Venezuelan prison? And anyway, I started looking. It looks like he's from a very affluent family in a very rich neighborhood. And, you know, just to have a little fun with the LDS guys, you know, he's part of the Magical Underwear crew. And we know the Magical Underwear crew. A lot of the daddies in that religion are connected to the secret societies. Pretty much Mormonism is all Freemasonry. But again, Joseph Smith, we all know what happened to him in 1844 by the code. And then 33 years later, Brigham Young, you know, the Masons in 33, they both got it by the Gematria code, if you will. But anyway, I just, you know, he came on my radar, and then I noticed what he was doing at the time is he was doing a lot of things political. And I looked back and I saw his channel used to be a prank channel. It used to be like he was like a wannabe jackass, MTV reality TV show. It's like what he was trying to do as a younger person, but now he's trying to get more into politics. And to me, that's more respectable. And what he's been doing here is going to all the swing states and just interviewing people on the street. And again, I'd encourage anybody to watch it just because it is just interesting to listen to the American people and how lost in the sauce all of them are, including Nick Shirley and his cameraman. I mean, the two guys without a clue. And again, they're young guys, so that is to be expected. But just America, I mean, just watching way too much TV, believing way too much BS. And again, consenting to these illegitimate elections, which are really selections. And it doesn't matter which party you get in there. They're going to continue to play the same game. They're two wings of the same bird. We're going to get into what the lesser of two evils really is, especially with these two candidates that were being given for 2024. But something that blew me away is like right after I became aware of this Nick Shirley guy because he was on Jesse Waters, it was the very first stream of his I was watching. He was in Chicago for the DNC. And it just blew my mind. I was just like, I cannot believe this. I can't believe who he has on the camera out in Chicago. And it's this guy right here, Franchot. And for people who don't know, again, Franchot learned from me the relevance of numbers in the rituals with news and politics and sports. And he's taken it and twisted it into a whole bunch of nonsense. And again, Nick Shirley, if you watch this, you had this man on and you asked him questions about how did you know there were going to be multiple assassination attempts on Donald Trump? The reason that he knew that was not because of the BS that he fed you. And if you guys watch the interview, it sounds so dumb when Franchot's giving us an explanation. It literally makes zero sense. He's like, because you take this day and minus this many days and then divide by this many numbers. It's like a troll in my comment section just writing crap. He was like, is this real? I mean, this sounds crazy. And it did sound crazy. Listen, the reason he had that prediction is because he copies me. Again, I'm the guy who pretty much brought this to the tube. I've been here every day for 11 years. I have books out there if you want to look into them. My name is Zachary K. Hubbard. But again, I just want to correct what he said and how he actually predicted multiple assassination attempts on Trump, which is something that I put out on April 5th, 2023, 4-5, like Donald Trump number 45. Again, compare what I'm about to say compared to the BS answers Franchot gave you. So we're going to talk about this first, and then we're going to jump into the lesser of two evils. Again, RFK Jr. filed his paperwork to run for office on April 5th, 2023. And I put out a video that day, and I said, oh, look at the ritual here on 4-5, like number 45, Donald Trump. And again, RFK Jr.'s Jesuit educated. This is what I educate about how the Jesuits run this nation. They gave us the calendar and the language. And there's numbers that are very special to them. The day that RFK Jr. filed his paperwork was 144 days after the leader of the Jesuit order's birthday. That's Arturo Sosa, who's born November 12th, 1948. It was 144 days after his birthday that RFK Jr. filed the paperwork. If you look, you'll see that RFK, his father, reportedly in his storybook died at 1:44 a.m. and his uncle JFK died 144 days from meeting with the Pope on July 2nd. And a major assassination in U.S. history, which the Jesuits were a part of, was Lincoln, who blamed the Civil War on the Jesuits on 14th of April, 14/4, like 144. In Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, which Franchot did introduce to you, Jesuit order equates to 144. When you apply numerology to the alphabetic order, the United States of America equals 144. And again, the Jesuits came out of suppression 144 days after James Madison's birthday, while he was the sitting president in office. And there's so much with 144 in death. Again, even JFK's infant child died right before he was assassinated on August 9th, the day leaving 144 days left in the year. So I put out that information on April 5th, 2023, and I pointed out how it was paying tribute to 1968, where there were multiple assassinations, RFK and MLK, who both got killed in Jesuit rituals. Again, Martin Luther King Jr. was named after Martin Luther, who wrote the 95 Theses and led the Protestant Reformation against the Catholic Church. MLK was killed on the 95th day of the year, like Martin Luther wrote the 95 Theses. So again, when I present this knowledge, it's always streamlined and talking about the same number repetitions all throughout history. When Franchot's doing decodes, what he's doing is he's looking at my work and then trying to put his own spin and twist on it, and that's why it sounds like a total load of shit. And again, just like how when you looked at him crazy, like, that doesn't make sense how you predicted anything off that, it's because it doesn't. And he's also not a very good human being. I helped him set up his most recent YouTube channel because he'd recently been censored. Like, again, when you share the work we're sharing, you will get deleted a lot. I've been deleted 20 some times. You know, once upon a time when you were trying to grow your channel, I used to have 100K subs. I've been there 3 times and deleted every time, and now I can't even grow my channel. That's the difference between when you try to ride in the mainstream like you're doing and when you try to actually show what's going on in the world. But this Franchot Pearson, he can't even say thank you for me helping him set up his channel. And he has to tell his audience that it never happened, which is also a blatant lie. So anyway, the one nice thing is he introduced the word gematria to your channel. The problem is he made it look really stupid, and I highly doubt anybody who watched that video was very impressed or even looked much more into it. And again, since you're over there thinking Donald Trump's the savior of the world, do this as well. Again, this is in my last book that I published in the middle of 2020 when I accurately forecasted when the pandemic would come to an end as soon as the year of the tiger came around because it was all foretold. But in that book, I showed how Donald Trump was over in Switzerland at the World Economic Forum on the day the virus was confirmed in the US for the first time, gloating about his trade deal with China and saying how the world will never be the same again. And again, Donald Trump was in Switzerland January 21st, 2020. That was the day it was confirmed. Remember, they said the first case arrived January 15th, but it wasn't confirmed until January 21st. Trump's trade deal with China was on January 15th, the same day the case supposedly arrived in the States in his backyard. But here's the thing about where Gematria, where you can just see how perfectly scripted all this is. When Trump was in Switzerland, it was the 222nd day of his age. Wuhan coronavirus and Gematria equals 222. The World Economic Forums who put on the simulation for the pandemic, event 201. When you spell out event 201 as words, it equals 222. That was in New York, New York. New York, New York equals 222, just like the motto, order out of chaos is 222. And from the World Trade Centers coming down to the pandemic being declared was exactly 222 months later. And again, 2 towers became 0 before they became 1, like event 201 was the simulation put on by the Jesuit Klaus Schwab. The Jesuit order equates to 201. They were created 201 months after Martin Luther penned the 95 Theses, like the nation's first major gun control legislation came 201 days after MLK was assassinated. And that goes with Sandy Hook happening 201 months after the Dune Blaine massacre, which had gun rights taken away in the UK. Anyway, it goes with the first Jesuit pope being Pope Francis, the first to live in Suite 201, and on and on and on. It goes with Inauguration Day being on the 201st day of the year, and Trump's ex-wife falling down the stairs and dying 45 years after their marriage, and then her being buried on the 201st day of the year, because both Trump and Biden are Jesuit educated. But again, just simple number explanations. Franchot was trying to tell you how the July 13th shooting was staged, and he just gave you like a BS explanation that made zero sense to anybody. Simple explanation. I told you, RFK got in the race on 4-5, like number 45. Again, paying tribute to the Kennedys. 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary was the shooting on July 13th, the supposed shooting, 45 days. Been a lot of 45 rituals with Donald Trump over the years, like his court case in New York at the beginning of the year, which ended 45 days after it began. The same one where Stormy Daniels took the stand 45 days after her 45th birthday, and so on. Again, these things are easy to explain, the number ritualism, but then you listen to a guy like Franchot, he just makes it sound like a bunch of mumbo jumbo that just sounds so arbitrary. Oh, here I'm minusing this date from this date and dividing by this number. and he'd be like, don't you get it? And he'd be like, what? What's that mean? And he'd go, Obama. And he'd be like, what? Trust me. Again, you learn what we're talking about the way I've been teaching it for 11 years. You'll start to see how rigged the whole system is, and it will make a lot of sense. It won't sound like total nonsense. So anyway, let me pull up my website here, and let's talk about Kamala, and let's talk about Trump and what the lesser of two evils are. Now, I didn't even realize this. Somehow this one slipped past me. I did not realize they had Megan Thee Stallion perform for Kamala when she was in Atlanta. And by the way, that's where Nick Shirley is today. He's in Atlanta talking to the swing state. Apparently Georgia's a swing state now, but Jimmy Carter's about to go, all the parallels between Jimmy Carter from Georgia and Joe Biden. Anyway, Megan Thee Stallion performed for Kamala July 30th when she was campaigning in Atlanta. And look at the finger poses right there. But think about what Megan Thee Stallion's music is about before we even get to the number part. There's two major parallels between Megan Thee Stallion and Kamala. And one is both of them lost their mothers in evil rituals. Their mothers did not pass organically. It was in the headlines that Megan Thee Stallion's mother had died. And isn't it weird that supposedly a female rapper is named Stallion? Because that's what a male horse is. A male horse is a stallion. But that point aside, again, we got the headline that her mother was dead, who was an aspiring rapper when she was younger. And then next thing you know, Megan Thee Stallion is all over the radio. I had never heard of her. And then you get the national headline about her mom died, this emerging young rapper. And the next thing you know, you turn on the radio and her songs are everywhere. And it's been that way ever since her mom did die, which was 5 years ago now. But remember, Kamala's mom died on the 42nd day of the year, February 11th, 2009, right after we got the first black president, Obama, who was a one-term senator who took office with Biden, just like Kamala was a one-term senator who took office with Biden. Biden passed the torch to Kamala 42 months and a day after they took office. 42, the number stamped all over Black history. Slavery equals 42, like Tuskegee, like the N-word, like a million other things connected to Black history, like Kamala equals 42. But both of these women lost their mothers. And remember, Kamala even allowed people to question her Blackness on February 11th, 2019. You can go back and look at the headline. It was the 42nd day of the year, the decade anniversary of her mother's death. But you have the parallel between both of these women giving up their moms. And then the other parallel is this. Everyone knows how Kamala climbed the ladder. And again, for people who are not familiar with Gematria, there's 4 base ciphers of the English language. All of these numbers matter to Kamala. 39 with the alphabetic order, 12 with the alphabetic order in numerology, 123 with the reverse alphabetic order, 42 with the reverse alphabetic order in numerology. Remember, Kamala began dating Willie Brown when he was 60, when she was in her 20s. And that's when she started to climb the political ladder. Now she's going to turn 60 this year, October 20th, right before the 60th U.S. presidential election. Remember, Trump, his ex-wife, died falling down the stairs exactly 60 weeks into the first Jesuit Nation year. But Kamala, there's been plenty of rituals with 42. There's been plenty with 123. Recall, the day that the torch was passed, July 21st, that was 123 days after Willie Brown's birthday. And then Beyonce came out and gave her the song Freedom. And then Chuck Schumer endorsed her 123 days after her birthday. And then before Monday Night Football, I gave it out to everyone how they were going to sync up week 1 of the NFL, because the same Mason/Jesuits who run the NFL run the federal government year after year. It's all synced together. But we said, look, home teams are going to be 11-5, like the election's 11-5. We thought the Niners would win by 12. They ended up winning by 13. The Niners became 12-3 all-time versus the Jets. Remember, the Niners and Vikings both won week 1, both beating the New York teams. Trump's the New York guy. Tim Walz is Minnesota. Kamala's the Bay, like the Niners. But the Niners became plus 123 in scoring all-time versus the Jets and became 12-3 against them all-time. And year after year, all these rituals synced up. But a lot of 123 business. But again, the point I'm trying to make right now is perfectly synced with Willie Brown. She began sucking Willie's willy when he was 60 and she was in her 20s. And now for the 60th election, right before she turned 60, she's the front runner for the major party who didn't have to go through any of the primaries. She got there because of the way they did it with, the whole script with Joe. Not to mention, we mentioned like right after Inauguration Day that when Joe Biden was 81 and Kamala was 59, you'd see the transition of power. President Biden equals 81, supposedly got a record 81 million votes from Scranton, PA off Interstate 81. Kamala becomes the nominee and raises a record 81 million in the first 24 hours. It's all number ritual. But anyway, so Kamala is known for doing sexual favors to climb the political ladder. What is Megan Thee Stallion's music about? It's about being a hoochie mama. Every song she has is like bragging about being the biggest hoochie mama on the block. So, and literally twerking on stage like a sexual thing. When Kamala climbed the ladder with sex, both sacrificed the mom to be where they are on the world stage, because that's the price. You got to pay the price in blood to be up on the world stage. Trump's been paying the price. Again, like we just said, his ex-wife. How about his brother who just died on the Jesuit order's birthday the other year, August 15th? How about his sister who used to be the lawyer for Reagan who just died at the end of last year, et cetera, et cetera. All of these have been perfect numerical rituals as we covered. But Megan Thee Stallion, her friend here at the Kamala thing, doing a lot of them think that's the rock on, but that is also a satanic hand symbol. And when we're talking about people who've sacrificed their family to be on the world stage, I don't know what can be more satanic. So look at this. Kamala performed or spoke next to Megan Thee Stallion on July 30th, which was the 212th day of the leap year. Kamala Harris has that 212. Notice it's the day leaving 154 days left in the year. We're going to come back to why that matters. We're going to come back to why that matters when we look at Megan Thee Stallion's mother's death, who died on the 154th day of Kamala's age, and how ritual sacrifice equals 154. And keep in mind, we were talking about 201 with the Jesuits. The number 201 is the 154th composite number. And remember, Pope Francis, the first Jesuit pope, the first to live in Suite 201, his birth name, Jorge Mario Bergoglio's 201, but he's born on Saturnalia, and Saturnalia is 154. So there's a mathematical connection with 154 and 201 and how it's used in high Jesuit ritual. Okay, the Jesuits run D.C. It's where they set up camp when they came to the nation. The first words that came out of Megan Thee Stallion's mouth when she took the stage was "Hotties for Harris," and then she began performing. You can see it emphasized in the headline, "Hotties for Harris." Hotties for Harris is 98. Just happened to do it 98 days before voting day. Just another perfect numerical ritual. And there's even more notes here, but it is interesting that Megan Thee Stallion's birthday is the 46th day of the year. Remember, President's Day fell on that day when Joe Biden and Kamala took office. Remember, we told you a year in advance why Joe would become number 46 in the election 46 weeks after the Pope's birthday, when Catholic equals 46. And there's 46 books in the Catholic Old Testament. And the only other Catholic president was the guy who got killed at age 46, JFK. But Megan Thee Stallion, she's got that birthday on the 46th day of the year and the time of number 46. And again, Megan Thee Stallion had put out her single on January 22nd, which is interesting because, again, there seems to always be satanic rituals on January 22nd. Satanic equals 122, like abortion equals 122. Roe versus Wade was decided on January 22nd, 122 days after Jane Roe's birthday. Kobe had his career high of 81 on that day in history in his 666th career game, when Kobe beat Bryant equals 81, just like Mark of the Beast. And Kobe also had the 666 workout. And remember, her mother died 2 months later on March 22nd, old 322, very special number to Kamala. The founder of the Illuminati, who was a Jesuit, died on the 322nd day of the year. Skull and Bones, modeled after the Illuminati, calls itself Order 322. Remember the movie with Paul Walker about Skull and Bones that came out right before the second Bush, who was also in Skull and Bones, became president. That movie came out 201 days after his birthday. Order of Illuminati 201, like the Jesuit order, like Adam Weishaupt, the Jesuit who founded the Illuminati, died in history 201 days after the anniversary of its establishment. But notice, from the release of that single, Big Ol' Freak, isn't it funny just how they got the whole Diddy Freak-Offs thing synced up with Kamala too? Howard University, where they both went, 201. If you've missed all that coverage, check it out. It's all connected. Kamala's the 49th VP. Kamala Harris equals 49. Bad Boy equals 49. Diddy arrested 49 days before his birthday. It's all connected. He's got the legal problems in New York with the ladies like Trump, who's running against the prosecutor, Kamala. But anyway, the mother died 59 days after Megan Thee Stallion's birthday. That means she also died on her 60th day of her age. Remember, Kamala and Joe won the 59th election, perfectly synced with Pope Francis, whose name equals 59, who Benedict stepped down for on the 59th day of the year. But if you're new here, again, 59 is number stamped all over Black History. Black History Month ends on the 59th day of the year. Motown came out in 59. The words slave, Negro, blues, Rasta, they all equal 59. I don't know, I forgot to put Negro in that list, but it's another one. Renegade equals 59. That was Obama's Secret Service name. Obama goes to the White House with Biden. Kamala wins the 59th election. They did this performance in Atlanta, Georgia, which equals 59. And again, 59th election. These scripts drawn out long, long ago. Again, President Ford said in the Herbert Hoover Library that someday an old man will die in office while he has a female VP, and that woman will become the first female president. He said the first female president will not be voted in. She'll become president because of the death of an older president. And again, he said it in the Herbert Hoover Library. Kamala was born the same day Herbert Hoover died. But notice this ritual at this time. Kamala front and center at age 59, right? She's 59 years old. After the 59th election, this ritual with Megan the Stallion, who lost her mother in a 59 ritual. And then in the most 59 city there is, Atlanta, Georgia, a predominantly black city. And remember, she put out her EP on June 8th, 2018. And from that day to her mom's death was exactly 41 weeks on the nose. Mom is 41, which means she was beginning her 42nd week since her EP when it happened. And don't forget, 41 is not an arbitrary number in this nation. USA equals 41. The Jesuit suppression lasted for 41 years. The Illuminati and the US were created in the time of the Jesuit suppression. Think about it. The Jesuits are suppressed, so a Jesuit creates the Illuminati, and then 64 days later, like the spaces on the chessboard, this nation's created. And again, 41 is the 13th prime number, like 13 stripes, 13 colonies. And yeah, just in light of them performing on the day, leaving 154 days left in the year, when Megan the Stallion's mother died, it was the 154th day of Kamala's age. Again, performance on the day, leaving 154 days left in the year. Ritual sacrifice 154. 201 is the 154th composite number. And you know, the performance, or excuse me, no, never mind. Disregard that. It's not that important. But here's one other thing you could say. If you didn't count the day of her age, you could also say it happened 153 days after her 54th birthday, Kamala. So either the 154th day of her age or 153 days after her 54th birthday. Jesuit order, again, has the 54, the 153, 144, and 153 are biblical numbers. Remember, the word sun equals 54. The sun moves 1 degree on the astrological wheel every 72 years. Kamala's birthday, October 20th, is the day leaving 72 days left in the year. The first Jesuit pope on the 72nd day of the year. 72 bricks on the dollar bill. The original bankers are Templars. The Templar cross in the middle of the Jesuit order's logo. Money's controlling politics. And that's the thing people should realize too. Our elections are pretty much entirely controlled by the media, because it's the media controlling who gets on the debate stage. It's the media controlling all the storylines. And then you just look at the American people. They're all talking about nothing but what the TV's feeding them. They're all invested in the candidates that the TV chooses for them. And again, you got to look at who's running these news networks. Jesuit here, Jesuit there. Jesuits running the whole show. So yeah, I mean, just like it really is. It's beyond sick. It's beyond a sick joke. You know, the Hoochie Mama rapper who might not even be a woman because she goes by Stallion and that's a male horse. And I mean, like twerking for a political fundraiser. I mean, like it's porn culture to the nth degree. So yeah, I do spend more time again talking about how twisted Donald Trump and MAGA is. But like I say, nobody should be consenting to any of these candidates. In America, it's revolution or bust. It's an evil system that controls this nation. It doesn't matter which stooge candidate you vote for. You're going to get the same kind of BS. For all of you guys who are like, oh, things were better when Trump was in office, you're not being honest with yourself. Yeah, maybe things were going all right there until January 2020. But then see, because you guys have bought into the lies and the storyline of the scandemic, again, when you have the proper perspective, you realize how messed up it all is. Again, if Trump was a real leader, he would have put up his middle fingers and said, no, Switzerland, we're not going along with the World Economic Forum. He wouldn't have been in Switzerland the day the thing was confirmed in the U.S., gloating about his trade deal with China. And again, you guys look into the Event 201 simulation. Only 2 CDC departments from the world participated in Event 201, and it was the U.S.'s and China's. I mean, what are the odds of that? But again, Trump would have said, F you, we're not going along with your banker tyrant New World Order scheme. We're not locking down the country. We're not ending the American tradition. We're not putting people out of work and school. We're not saying you can't go to church. Again, it was the least American moment in history over a total scam. And then just to put the exclamation point on it, Trump had to declare Operation Warp Speed on the 2-year anniversary of Clade X, which was the sister simulation to Event 201. Again, that was May 15th, 2018. Trump declared Operation Warp Speed May 15, 2020. And look into what May 15th is. It's Mercuralia. Here, let's write out the name of the virus too. You see how coronavirus equals 155? Like that date can be written 15/5. Mercury's the curious ingredient in the pokey-dokes. You're not allowed to talk about it anymore. They take you down. Again, with the alphabetic order in numerology, coronavirus is 56. Trump waited until Friday the 13th, which is associated with the Templars, the original bankers who fled to Switzerland after they were burned at the stake on Friday the 13th. Trump waited until Friday, March 13th, 2020 to declare the national emergency for the U.S., which engaged the Patriot Act and all the surveillance and crap that went on right after that. Again, the Patriot Act that came out on 9/11, which all this was synced about, like we talked about earlier with all the 222. But Trump declared the pandemic on 56 date numerology. 3 plus 13 plus 20 plus 20 is 56. Yeah, that would break down to 11, which would break down to 2, but 56 in the path. Trump's Jesuit education began at Fordham in 64, 56 years before 2020. Again, the name of the pokey-doke also has the 56. The formal title of the Jesuits is Society of Jesus 56. They run Washington, D.C. 56. Look how Washington, D.C. is in the base ciphers. Look at Anthony Fauci. Compare the difference. Anthony Fauci, Jesuit, went to Holy Cross, exact same in all 4 ciphers. Remember, Society of Jesus also equals 79. The pandemic was declared on his 79th day, being 79 years old. Gavin Newsom, who's one of them, locked down California, the first governor to lock down a state, saying 56% of the state will get the virus in 8 weeks, which is 56 days. And look at his name, 142, 155, 56. First governor to lock it down over the corona. He's got 3 of the same numbers in his name. Kamala getting the jab on TV 70 days after her 56th birthday. Sanjay Gupta did the same thing. CNN's supposed doctor, who's supposedly not an actor. And just on and on and on. Boris Johnson at age 56 is hospitalized, says the UK strain. First he says it's 70% more infectious. Then he says it's 56% more infectious. Keep in mind, 56 is the number 70 in base 8 counting, and United Kingdom fits in with that 70 thing. And on and on and on. There were a gazillion rituals, but all of these people on the world stage all had the perfect birthdays, playing their perfect part, steering the American people down the path of this scam. And now that's who we get to choose from in 2024. And mind you, that virus was coined as seasonal flu in 1968, 56 years ago, as now we get the 2 candidates who are instrumental in duping the American people. So if you're going to consent to these people, that makes you an asshole, okay? You know, when he's out here on the street interviewing people, you just see how ignorant. Again, like I told you guys in February 2016, before Trump was even the candidate, I said they're going to put him in because he's so polarizing. And you see when he's out interviewing people, there's people that just have so much hatred on both sides for either candidate. You know, the country's never been more divided because they're all caught up in the mind control and the gimmicks. And yeah, it's just sad. So, hey, Nick Shirley, if you're out there, since you brought on Franchot Pearson, who really does just bite my work and make it look stupid and uses my predictions and claim they're his, which they're not. And I mean, you should have seen that. I know if you just watched what I just laid down for you, and I can just keep laying it down too. It's just like Berlin Wall equals 45. Trump ran on building a wall and was called president-elect on the anniversary of the fall of the Berlin Wall. You see how Berlin Wall is also 63? 2016 is the 63rd triangular number. Mega, you know, the lesser of 2 evils. This is what people should be out on the street explain this. Mega is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. Here, degrees of the Church of Satan, because I always see the trolls in the comments trying to downplay it. Here's the degree. Here's right from the Church of Satan's website. This is their website. Here are the degrees of the Church of Satan. Look at the highest degree, the 5th degree, like a 5-pointed downward pointing pentagram is a satanic symbol. Like how DC is full of 5s, 555-foot tall Washington Monument, 5-sided Pentagon with 5 floors above ground and a 5-acre court in the middle, and on and on and on. But mega is the highest degree of the Church of Satan. The first tenet of Satanism is to worship yourself, which is all Donald Trump pretty much does. Again, he keeps everybody in a kindergarten mind state. He's the greatest. He's the best. The opposition is the worst ever, the most worstest. He's the most bestest. It's like being in elementary school again. And again, just go back and look. April 30th, 2011, White House Correspondents' Dinner. Obama's still the president then. Again, not to mention Trump was a Democrat his whole life until Obama became president. But it was the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan with Trump at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. And Obama, look it up. Everybody just go watch it. Watch the 2011 White House Correspondents' Dinner, and you'll see. They had a full skit. They got a visual of the casino or the White House looking like a Trump casino. Trump's out in the yard in the hot tub with women in the bikinis. And Obama's telling the audience that Trump's going to be number 45 on the 45th birthday of the Church of Satan, 45 days before Trump's June 14th birthday. And again, just a gazillion 45 rituals since then. And again, I mean, look, for you and your cameraman, Nick Shirley, who I saw your cameraman go, listen, I didn't like Trump until he survived that assassination. That's exactly why they did it, because the PSYOP impacts people who don't have enough information. The Secret Service was created on the day Lincoln was shot in history, April 14th, 1865. From the anniversary of that date, from the anniversary of April 14th to the Trump shooting on July 13th, and see the video I did on July 12th about the coming Trump assassinations. We did one the day before it happened. That's where Franchot's getting his information from, not from his false calculations that he tried to present to you that just sound like total bullshit. And the reason he can't just go and be honest and tell you that he copied me is because he's just clout chasing, and he's trying to build up his own name and pay his bills off my work. And some people are dumb enough to think what he's saying has any meaning. But anyway, look at this. July 13th, 2024. Exactly 13 weeks from the anniversary of the Secret Service and the Lincoln assassination to July 13th, as he gets the perfect photo op under the 13 stripes. And I heard you and your cameraman both going, but he was there saying, fight, fight, fight. I mean, didn't that inspire you guys? If it was a real assassination and not a total hoax, they would have been rushing him off that stage. There would have been no time for a photo op. 13 weeks on the 13th of the month under the 13 stripes. And again, it was exactly 45 days after JFK's birthday anniversary. You could also say it would have been a span of 46 days, like JFK smoked at age 46. But just even the word 13 has a gematria of 45. And then the more recent one on the golf course, Donald Trump, you see how it equals 159 like Scottish, right? Like he's of Scottish ancestry. You know, some people think he's the second coming, like New Testament's 159, and that's why he left office at 74, like Jesus is 74. But anyway, Donald Trump 159, the second scare on the 15th of September, 15/9. It's 159 years since the Secret Service was created, and they're saying the Secret Service got the shooter. And there's no proof of anything, just like there's no proof of anything in the first one. And here, another point to make about the July 13th incident. Let me get the spelling right for Corey Is this how his name was spelled? No, it's not right. It's something like this. Hold on. CC. They had his name spelled wrong on his jacket at the event in Wisconsin where J.D. Vance was picked. You see how Corey Contemporary, his name is 195. Look at Robert Kennedy as well. Because remember, Robert Kennedy got Secret Service right after the shooting. Robert Kennedy's also 195. July 13th in a leap year is the 195th day of the year. So yeah, trust me, I listened to what you said, Nick, about your argument that it had to have been real is because a man was killed in the audience. Don't kid yourself that man, if you saw his family interviewed, his wife said that she didn't know how her husband was so confident before he got killed, but her husband was very confident that he was going to end up on the stage with Donald Trump. He was telling that to the wife, and she thought he was like, okay, you're off your rocker on this one, Corey. But he did end up on the stage in Wisconsin where J.D. Vance was picked as the VP nominee, the youngest VP nominee picked since Teddy Roosevelt, who was shot in Milwaukee because all this stuff's ritual. But again, 195th day of the leap year, that man got killed. And you pay attention, this is what goes on day after day. And again, Robert Kennedy, who got in the race on 4-5, who was our tell that this was going to happen to Trump, number 45. And understand, I've been talking about the coming Trump assassination stories since 2016 when they started to compare him to George Wallace, who got shot on the campaign trail, the Alabama governor. Trump wins at the Alabama game last night. Week 5 equals 41. Kellen DeBoer gets his 41st win. It's the same ritual as when Georgia lost to Alabama in the college championship in 2018 with Trump in attendance. That game was on the 8th day of the first month. It was a big 81 ritual as well last night in Alabama beating Georgia. Kellen DeBoer became 41-9, a bit like 419, the 81st prime. Notice how President Trump's got the 81, just like President Biden. But Donald Trump, again, 60. For the 60th election, we've been telling people that he was definitely going to be the candidate for this. And again, go back and look at the day that his wife fell down the stairs and died. Again, it was exactly 60 weeks into the first ever Jesuit Ignatian year that ran more than a typical calendar year. It ran from May 20th, 2021 to July 31st, 2022. The anniversary of Ignatius of Loyola being shot with a cannonball. That's why Billy Cannon died on that day in history, right after Joe Burrow transferred to LSU and went on to repeat Billy Cannon's history. That's why Joe Burrow in the NFL, the year he took his team to the Super Bowl and lost to the Rams, played all 4 of Billy Cannon's NFL teams in the playoffs. But again, that was the Bengals' 54th season, like Jesuit Orders 54. And again, that's why they got Eileen Cannon, who wanted Trump in court on May 20th, Cannonball Day to the Jesuits. But anyway, 60 weeks into the year, conservatives against Trump came out based on 60 legal cases. Trump said that same day later that he was going to run for the upcoming election, which is the 60th. And then again, his ex-wife dies at 45 years after their marriage, 60 weeks into the Jesuit Ignatian year. And again, if all this stuff is foreign to you, because it's foreign to almost everybody, because nobody's paying attention to anything that actually matters. Again, May 20th, 2021, his wife died on July 14th. It's a presidential number. U.S. president equals 147, like President of the United States, 147 windows on the White House. But yeah, if you don't count the span, yeah, it's exactly 60 weeks after the start date that all those things happen. And again, now Kamala's got 60-year-old Tim Walz. She's about to turn 60 again. Started dating Willie Dilly when he was 60. It's nothing but number rituals and jokes. And like Donald Trump, 138. I mean, help people make a fortune the year the Nationals beat the Astros in Game 7, 138 days after Trump's birthday, which we called before the before the postseason even began. Their manager for the Nationals, Dave Martinez, is 138, like Federal's 138. But yeah, Donald Trump, if you go back to 2017, he fired the normal inauguration guy and hired the Nationals announcer. And we said right then, the Nationals are going to win a World Series while he's in office. And remember, Trump took office with the 115th Congress. The Nationals won the 115th World Series 138 days after Trump's birthday. And if you go look at the box score for Game 7, the game they won it, they even had 159 pitches. Washington, D.C. beat Houston, and look at the NBA box score that night. Houston beat Washington in the NBA, and Houston scored 159 points. And we had a nice little huge payout because Nationals were big dogs in Game 7. And Houston had good value that night, too. Nice little parlay. A lot of people smashed it that night. Because, again, it's all scripted together. All of these things are scripted together. We've been showing this for over 11 years. And, again, I know if Nick Shirley watches this and he watches what I'm presenting compared to what he had on here with the clown show from Mr. Bug Eyes, he's going to realize who's the real deal. Again, I didn't learn shit from him. He learned from me, and now he's mutilated the teaching. He sits there and watches my channel. It's like, oh, I like that. Here, let me put my twist on it. Oh, here's the new decode. From this random day minus this random day divided by this number equals this. And that's how I'm calling the future. It's like, no, you're not calling shit. You're just making stuff up and copying me. And it makes me sick in a way. Because look, that got pretty good views. I used to get way more views than that on every video back in 2016 before they destroyed my channel. But and again, anyone can see why once upon a time before YouTube destroyed my channel, I have views. Because our work is awesome. We've been calling the future before it happens, left and right, politics, sports, news, and doing it like nobody's ever seen. But again, few people appreciate the truth, and if you just, float in the mainstream, you will be a lot more successful in this world, and of course, that's what Nick Shirley's been doing. He's been appealing to the mainstream, so. Yeah, it is totally satanic and evil. And you, Mr. Nick Shirley, as a member of the LDS Church, you guys consider yourselves Christian. You guys got a few different little things there. Joseph Smith and the magical plates. By the way, you should read the first chapter of my first book, Letters and Numbers, and then you'll understand why Joseph Smith talked to Moroni, the angel, on the day he did, because it's all by the numbers, too. He's part of this Masonic cabal. Remember, Masonry is based in this whole thing of letters and numbers. because it's based in Kabbalah and the Book of Formation, the Kabbalistic text. The opening paragraph says God created the world with numbers, letters, and words, almost like Genesis. God speaks the world into existence over numbered days. But anyway, hey, Daria, you didn't have to do that. Daria, save that money. I saw you just went on a nice vacation. Daria, you look very nice in that photo. I'm glad you had a good time in New Orleans. It is a fun city. BPST3 Chipton 5, he said the current LDS president is Russell M. Nelson, a member of Skull and Bones. Mormonism plus Freemasonry for family units, very Masonic. And I do suspect that somewhere that's tying in with Nick Shirley, who's getting to do some pretty crazy things. He got sent over to Ukraine. He got sent, the first guy to go into maximum security prison in Venezuela. But hey, you know what? I'm not going to knock everything he's doing. I like that he's out there and he's now using his platform to, interview the American people. I commend what he's doing, going around the nation, state to state, and interviewing people on the street. I wish we were funded like that to be doing the same thing. Instead of going out there and participating in the lies, like sadly what Nick's doing, because he's a young guy who doesn't have enough information. We're out there, we're waking people up. We're making people go, holy shit, I got to do better research. Yeah, we've looked at some rituals with that Russell Nelson guy. Hold on, there was a death of a Mormon recently. Here, be careful, Nick Shirley. I'll make sure you don't end up like this guy. Hold on. Maybe I put it on my Twitter. Did I not sometimes I put things on my Twitter and I forgot to put it on my site. Let me see. This Garrison Brown, this was earlier this year, March 5th. Let me see. The leader of the Mormon Church, Garrison Brown, died 178 days after his birthday. Yeah, that's a good one for you, Nick Shirley. Be careful, man. Be careful. You're a prominent young Mormon man on the world stage, and I can see why they'd want to get rid of you. You are definitely a jackrabbit Mormon, that's for sure. You are not you're a lot different than the Mormon kids I grew up around. Man, they had their hair parted. They didn't even drink coffee, nothing, no caffeine. Never said a bad word. A lot of fricks. Frick. I can think of this kid named Brett. Brett might be a common name in the Mormon church. I actually knew two Mormon kids growing up named Brett. And they both use the word frick a lot. Frick. Like, just say the word. I mean, frick. It sounds even worse. It sounds like it's like poking into my skin when you say it. Frick. Just let the real F-bomb drop if you're going to say it. But yeah, this is what's going on in the world, Nick. This is what's going on in the world, Nick. Don't listen to old bug eyes. This guy just ripping off my work and making it look stupid. And if anybody wants to laugh their ass off, you can watch this interview and you can see Nick's just like, what? It's not the response. That's how you predicted it? It doesn't even make any sense, man. Oh, by the way, something he did tell you about that he also stole from me. Here, you should know about this, Nick. You'll appreciate this one because I hear you talking about Revelation a lot. Whore of Babylon. You see it? 217. Again, the Whore of Babylon wears purple with a pearl necklace like Kamala wore on Inauguration Day, like Lisa Simpson wore in The Simpsons as the first female president after Trump. And just for the record, that episode of The Simpsons came out 152 days after Kamala's birthday. Her full name is 152, kind of like how Megan Thee Stallion's birthday is 15/2, and that's the first President's Day fell on when they took office. But here, Whore of Babylon 217. Biden passed the torch to Kamala on 21/7, 217 days after the Pope's birthday. And again, just go back and look. When Trump went to the White House, or not the White House, when Trump went to the Vatican, by the way, that was the 144th day of the year, May 24, 2017, he gave the Pope a lotus flower. Kamala means lotus flower on the 217th day of Kamala's age. And remember, lotus flower, for example, in Gematria, just about that, equals 49. Notice Kamala Harris equals 49. She's the 49th VP. James Harris equals 49. That was the wrestler Kamala, who died on the day, leaving 144 days left in the year, 2 days before Biden made Kamala the VP nominee. Special number there. Washington's 49. So is America. So is Scottish. 49 is the 33rd composite number. The highest degree of the Scottish Rite's 33. Has to do with why Diddy's father was murdered at 33 and 72. And then Diddy goes down 49 days before his birthday at 54. His father in 72, him at 54. Big Jesuit numbers. But yeah, again, this is the kind of stuff that goes on in the world, and just so you know, your religion's super corrupt, but so are all religions, and a lot of Mormons don't even realize. And I know you guys don't want to be called Mormons anymore, but I'm going to keep calling you Mormons. And here, I'm going to show you what's behind the word Mormon. Mormon. You guys have a big temple next to the Roman Catholic Church or the Vatican now. Mormon equals 74, just like Roman. Like Holy Roman Empire is 74. Like Jesus is 74, like Jesus Christ is 74, like cross is 74, like Messiah is 74, like gospel is 74, like parables is 74, like English is 74, like gematria is 74, like killing is 74, like 3 of the first 5 presidents dead on 7-4, and they all went against the Catholic Church, and 2 of them spoke against the Jesuits who died on the same day, Jefferson and Adams, July 4th, 1826, and then 1826 days later, Monroe died on 7-4. And again, holiday is 74, like Holy Day, and Independence Day is 74. And that's part of the reason. Hold on, I gotta spell it right. I'm missing a P. Independent. Oh, I'm missing more letters. I'm missing an E too. Independence Day 74. Again, Trump's trying to get resurrected like Jesus after leaving office at 74 when he went to Fordham. He's a product of the Society of Jesus, the Jesuits. So yeah, that's the magic behind the Mormon word. Yeah, this kid's no typical Mormon. He's like, I mean, he definitely. When I was a kid, they called a bad Mormon a jackrabbit Mormon. You're a jackrabbit Mormon, Nick. He probably doesn't wear his magical underwear either. He's probably like, it seems like Nick is, when you're born into it, it's hard to leave it. It seems like he's a major doubter of his religion. He's like, I'm not sure about these magical plates and Joseph Smith. Anyway, we call BS podcast. Zach, have you had a chance to look into the info Candace Owens put out on Cam Harris? I didn't know about this one. Did I say I was going to research that and I forgot? If I did, I apologize. Candace Owens, is Cam Harris a relate? Or was that for Kamala Harris? Cam Harris must be short for Kamala Harris. Okay, I got it. Candace Owens is one of these controlled characters too. I can look into it, but Candace Owens is far from the real deal. She's another controlled one. And notice what they did do with her though. They did the psyop on her where, the synagogue of Satan type gets to stay on the network. The one with the little squealy voice. What's his name? Pipsqueak. Nasally, whiny one. I can't think of his name, but he got to stay on the network and she got fired. That darker complexion, man, they love to pick on them. But I'm no Candace Owens fan. She's a total plant. She's a total fraudster, collaborating with all kinds of fake ones, like that no talent white rapper. Anomaly, who likes to talk shit about my work when his work is total shit and our work is total genius and 1,000,000% on point. Thanks again, Daria. She says, R.I.P. to Drake Hogston, who played John Black in Days of Our Lives for 38 years. We already know what's up there. I didn't do the decode, but hey, check out Daria. She does great decodes on Twitter. Daria, have you been doing decodes? They've been showing up in my feed lately. I need to make sure. That's the thing when you're busy and things stop showing up in your feed, you miss it. So I got to find Daria's feed again. But of course, death, murder, killing, and R.I.P. all 38. You can make out the murder by numbers post in the background. The E's changed to the 3. The B's changed to the 8. Remember the thing they did with Ryan Gosling and Sandra Bullock's lover the other year? They're both in murder by numbers. The 38 rituals on the people connected to them. It was while that Barbie movie was going viral. Plastic fake people. Barbie top movie of the year. What a match. Lil Fussy says, if Zachary offends you, you are not truly awake. Love to you, sweet lady, baby. Well, I appreciate the donation, but I can be an asshole, and sometimes I can say things differently. And, a lot of people who just don't want to wake up, I'm, easy to make it for the, I got to get off. Sweet lady just texted me and said, we got to get out of here. It's true. I'm running late. Always great work, says Frank the Truth Tank. Thank you. Thank you all very much for your generosity this morning. And I do got places to be. So Nick Shirley, if you're out there, hey, you brought on Bug Eyes and he gave you a super whack interview and made the work look like dog shit. If you don't mind bringing on the guy who he copies from, I'm pretty sure will blow minds. And I'm pretty sure we might even change your mind about things. So unless you're not allowed to. Maybe that's why you get to go on Fox News. And in that case, you do what you got to do. But selling out's probably the fastest way to hell. So anyway, we'll leave it there for now. And until next time, Truth Seeker.